So far, Nehemiah identified a serious problem in Jerusalem in Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. From 2 weeks ago, that's what we talked about. And last week, we saw a contrite Nehemiah confess his own sin, along with the noticeable sin of his people. It's a confession that ultimately brings freedom. But what happens next is short, it's sweet, and it's very interesting. Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 11. At the very end, Nehemiah of chapter 1 makes a very interesting statement. It's real simple. Quote, "Now I was cupbearer to the king." End quote. Nehemiah, once he has confessed, all of a sudden has a crystal clear reality come to his mind. I'm the cupbearer to the king. In other words, God has given me access that many other people just simply do not have. Nehemiah realizes that based on his position, he had access. Yes, he was not the king, but he was close to the king. He knew the king. The question is, do you have the courage to do what you can do with the position that you do have? You may not be the president of a company or of the United States or the Elegbe of Egbe, but we all have some unique position that allows us to get something done. Nehemiah realized that he had a very unique position of influence, one that many simply don't have. With that realization also comes an expectation. Not an expectation to sit comfortably and idly by while others suffer, but instead an expectation to serve and to support those who do not have the same access. There are a lot of people who did not have the influence and access to rally people and resources, but Nehemiah did, even though he wasn't the king. Each of us in help has been given the position within help and also a position within the community that we live and work. So what are we doing with that position? We realize the opportunities that we have been given as an organization. How are we maximizing those opportunities based on the access and position that we have been granted? Whether we're a security guard or an accountant, a board member or a care center auntie, what are we doing with the access we've been given as an HOD or a domain coordinator and administrator? And we have all been given some access. Next week, we watch Nehemiah cash in on the access that he has. So this week, realize the access that you've been given. Realize the proximity that you have been provided. And may we get prepared to do the same thing as we push towards Help's 10-year vision of disciples through domains. Each of us has been given access, proximity to something. May we use that to push the vision forward.